Hey everybody, Sean Holsinger here from HolsingersFlyShop.com, bringing you this week's fly. This week we're tying a wax worm. Simple pattern, not real hard to tie, a little bit of practice, doesn't take much. And really effective looking fly. I mean, it's really realistic looking, I should say. And a little backstory, I should say, on how I ended up tying this fly. Had a guy come in the shop. He was looking for material to tie a fly he saw a video on that he really liked the look of. It was a waxworm fly, but the problem was all the material for it came from overseas. Start out here, we're using 1120 Daiichi scud hook, and we're going to use some .015 lead wire. We have non-lead if you have to use non-lead in your state too at the shop. But the material he needed for it was from overseas, and we couldn't get it for him, and he was having trouble finding it around here. So I started messing around, and it just so happened that at the same time I had another order. I had a guy order some waxworm flies off of me. So I wanted to improve my waxworm fly pattern anyway, and this is what I come up with after looking at what this guy showed me. So put about 12 wraps or so on there. Then we're going to cover that down with some cream 140 denier ultra thread. I'm just going to cover it so it stays in place there. And that'll actually help build up some width to the body too, so that's another good reason for using it. Next thing I'm going to use is some copper in small copper wire. And we're just going to take some of this. We're going to tie it off at the back. Oops. There we go. We get this tied on here, and we're going to tie it down to the back. And I'm going to go a little bit around the bend of the hook there. I want the wax worm to be a fairly decent size. Nice size wax worm. And we're building up the body here with the thread too as we go. So the next thing I'm going to need to do is put on some legs. And I'm going to add legs to this fly, which is going to make it look a lot more realistic. What we're going to use to do that is some Senyu intruder wire. The trailer hook wire that I use in other flies. This is the thin size. And I'm going to give you a little disclaimer. This is exactly what it says. It's intruder wire. So use an old pair of scissors to cut these because it's going to tear up your scissors. Okay, I'm just going to take, that's about a 4-inch piece. And I'm going to go on the fly about 2/3 of the way up from the back. So from there, I'm going to go about where my thread's at here, okay, 2/3 of the way up. And I'm going to lay this on top. I'm just going to lay it down and put about 2 or 3 loose wraps on there. And then I'm going to take and go on the one side and wrap one side down to get it to angle back where I want it. You see this one, how it has an angle towards the back. Then I'm going to switch over and I'm going to angle the other side back just the same exact way by making some wraps and covering it up. And I also want this to go down over the side just a little bit too. Oops. This is the hardest part of the fly right here, is getting the legs on, and with just a little practice it's not actually that bad. You can see how they lay back there now. That's how we want them. Then we're going to take our scissors, cut them off about 3/16 of an inch, I guess. Get the other side here. Okay, there you go. I got my back legs on. Next thing I'm going to do is put the middle legs on. We're going to have 3 sets of legs on here, and we're just going to repeat the same process. So loose loop it down here. And they crept a little bit further than I wanted them. There we go. Put a couple wraps, and then I always like to tie the side closest to me first for some reason, and then I'll switch around and tie the other side down, get it to go back where I want it. Sometimes it's a little easier if you cut it shorter. Get your thread around it easier. Work around it, I should say. Alright. There you see there, now I got another set matched in there nice. So we'll trim that down. And then we're going to put our last set of legs on here. Just the same way. Okay, and with each one that we're doing here, we're building up the thread base that's going to build up the body as we get in here later on. So don't be afraid to go kind of heavy on the thread wraps here, because you actually want to build it up. Alright, got them in there pretty good. Let's trim these down. Alright, and now I'm just going to take and make a couple wraps in between them, like I said, to build the... You see how when you do that, it's where my thread's at right now, there's a little bit of an indent right there, so I'm just going to fill that in between each set of legs and try to build it up a little bit. You can build it up with the antron too, but it's just a lot easier if you smooth it out before you get the antron in there. Oops. Okay, and then it's going to take a little bit of building up back here in the back too to make it all nice and uniform. So just try to get it all the same thickness. Don't trap your legs down, of course, like I just did there. And don't be afraid to make it a big fat juicy waxworm either. Okay, next thing we're going to put on is we're going to put on our antron. The antron we're using is just a cream color. Okay, it's going to match the thread pretty close. And I'm just going to set this on top. Get it all tied down. Oops. And I'm going to tie it clear back to the bend. And then once again, smooth it all out. Trim off these tags here a little bit. Okay. And then fill in again with my thread, just building up a good base with my thread. And then I'm going to take my thread and take it clear up to the front. Up to the eye. And once I get it up the eye, I'm going to whip finish it off. Reason I'm going to whip finish it is so it doesn't come unwound while I'm wrapping my antron on here. I'm using my rotary vise for this. It just works real nice. We're just going to hold on to, if you don't use it, you can just wrap it the old-fashioned way like I always used to with my Regal. But I'm using my new rotary vise here, and I'm just going to get my wire out of the way, and I'm going to wrap the antron the whole way up to the eye, and I'm going to be careful not to catch those legs with it, but fill in behind it real good and keep it nice and smooth. Okay, now the one thing that I like about this antron is the antron, I can actually split those legs. You can see how the legs are going through the antron. Okay, I'll take and split that antron with the legs, and it just smooths the fly out a lot better. Makes it a lot more not natural is not the word I'm looking for, but it smooths it out a lot better. And just keep wrapping it up like I'm doing, splitting those legs as you come to them. So it makes a nice transition. The body, the legs actually get enveloped into the body this way. That's a good way to put it. Okay, and like I said, just getting the whole thing nice and smooth and even. And then we're going to wrap it up here to the eye. And once we get up to the eye, we're just going to tie it off. About 3 or 4 good wraps. Trim our antron. And then we're just going to make another half hitch, on, or not a half hitch, but another whip finish. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put our ribbing on. And once again, I'll use my rotary here, but you don't have to. And the reason I'm using the small copper on this is because I can make a nice small rib just like on the waxworm with it. And it looks real natural. And we're just going to keep ribbing it up the whole way. Keeping a nice even spacing on the ribbing. And just go the whole way up here to the head. And then once I get to the head, we're just going to tie it off. Alright. Then we'll just hit it with another whip finish to finish it. And then the last thing, actually, before we finish the fly, I'm going to put a little head on it. And I'll just get these legs here where I wanted. This back one here is a little longer than the rest of them. So we're going to trim it up. There we go. You see how they're nice and small. And the glue here at the end will shrink them even a little bit more. They don't really have long legs. You don't want them really long. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to hit it with a marker real quick. And I'm just going to hit the head to give it a nice little brown head. Brown Sharpie is all I'm using. Give it that brown head on there, and then we'll hit it with some UV Fly Finish Flow. You can use head cement, it'll work just fine. This just works a lot quicker for my videos and for commercial style tying. So just put this flow on. The flow will actually sink into this antron, so you kind of have to put it on a little bit thick. And you see here when I hit it with this flow, it really gives it that buttery color. That's why you're using the cream color thread to get the undercoat. Another reason why I like this rotary vise, it really works great for doing the UV glue, because you can keep spinning it like I'm doing right now, and it doesn't allow the glue to sag. So we'll just keep it spinning here, hit it with our glue, or hit it with our light, I mean, and that's it. And it's all dry there when we're all done, and that's all that's to this very, very simple pattern. A little bit time consuming. You see there, it took me like about 13 minutes to talk through it. I could cut a couple minutes off of it, but that's a very, very good natural looking pattern. Got the right color down to it. You can see the ribbing on it very faintly, which is just like the real waxworm. Give this pattern a try. All the stuff we use to tie it, you can find at the shop at holsingersflyshop.com. Really, it's not that hard to tie. It's just when I do these videos, I'm talking the whole time, so I got to keep moving and stuff, and it sometimes takes a little longer. So give it a try. I'm sure you'll catch some fish on it, and if you do, send me a picture of it. This is my waxworm fly. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep tuning in every week on Monday nights. We try to keep a new video out every Monday night. Thanks for watching. I'm Sean Holsinger from holsingersflyshop.com.